2:33 p.m. Continuing the last few CRS's Cash Register Synchronicities from yesterday. 2:33 p.m. 73-cent change, invoice number 9363. 3 items in the purchase. Wow. Tree. Can you see? 3:27 p.m. 9 times 3, 27. 13 items. Change 293. Total 1707. 4324 invoice number. 2:11 p.m. 14th hour, 11th minute, 41st second. 2:11. Look at the total. 1194. L even. L, the Phoenician phonetic for God. Singular. The one who sits at 12 o'clock, the position of the Most High of the summer summit. The bull of the Bible, the bull god. 7788 at the 17th hour and the 56th minute exactly. Look at all this doubling. 778800, all the multiples of 11, L even. 56th minute, 5 and 6, 11. 22 items. 5522. The date 225. 778800. I mean, come on. Time to continue this. We're reading about this one. TAO. T20. A1, 21 plus 15, 36. Tau equals 36 in English gematria, or 360. Yang and yin. The Tao that can be expressed is not the true Tao, says Lao Tzu, the very first sentence. So the very last line I read yesterday was, well, let's show this image first. The stairway, or the starway, to heaven, or the head, the ladder of the letters, the ders, ters, tors, doors. So this very last line I read was, if the art of an artist is effortful, then his art is not perfect. In Zen, they used many methods to teach meditation. They used art also, painting, calligraphy, and other forms. A student would learn painting for 10 or 12 years until becoming absolutely technically perfect. Not even a single error existed in the technology of the art. Once the artist had become technically perfect, the master would say, "Now you drop it. For 2 or 3 years, completely forget it. Throw away your brushes, forget everything you know about painting, and when you have forgotten it completely, then come to me." 2, 3, 4, 5 years, sometimes even more, are needed to forget. It is very difficult. It is difficult first to learn a thing, and more difficult to unlearn it once you have learned it. As Yoda said, right? Unlearn what you have learned, you must. more difficult to unlearn it once you have learned it. The second part is essential, fundamental. Otherwise, you will be a technician, not an artist. It is said that a great archer trained his disciple to perfection in archery, and then told him, "Now you forget everything about it." For 20 years, the disciple used to come and go to the master, but the master would not say anything, so the disciple had to wait patiently. By and by, he completely forgot everything about archery. 20 years is a long time, and he had become almost an old man. Then one day he came, and as he entered the master's room, he saw a bow, but he did not recognize what it was. The master came to him, embraced him, and said, "Now you have become a perfect archer. You have forgotten even the bow. Now go out and look at the flying birds, and with just the idea that they should drop, they will." The archer went out and he couldn't believe it. He looked at the birds flying, almost a dozen birds, and they fell immediately to the ground. The master said, "Now there is no more to do. I was just showing you that when you forget the technique, only then will you become perfect. Now the bow and arrow are not needed. They are needed only for amateurs. A perfect painter does not need the brush and the canvas. A perfect musician does not need the sitar or the violin or the guitar. No, that is for the amateur. I came across an old musician, he is dead now, who was 110 years old. He could create music with anything whatsoever. He would be passing by two rocks and he would create music with them. He would find a piece of iron and he would start playing with it, and you would hear beautiful music, such as you have never heard. This was a musician. Even his touch was musical. If he touched you, you would see that he had touched the innermost instrument of your inner harmony and music. Suddenly you would start vibrating. When anything becomes perfect, the effort that was made to learn it has to be forgotten. Otherwise, the effort remains heavy on the mind. So it is not by trying hard to live in accordance with Tao that the highest type achieve it. No, they try to live in accordance with it, and by they start understanding that to live in accordance with nature, no effort is needed. It is like floating in the water. Nobody can just float. First, you have to learn to swim. Don't go to the river or you will be drowned. A person has to learn to swim, and when the swimming becomes perfect, he need not swim. He can just be in the river floating. He can lie in the river as if he is lying in his bed. Now he has learned how to be in accordance with the river. Now the river cannot drown him. Now he has no more enmity with the river. In fact, he no longer exists separate from the river. A perfect swimmer becomes part of the river. He is a wave in the river. How can the river destroy the wave? When he floats in accordance with the river, he is no longer fighting, resisting, doing something. He is in tune with the river, and he can simply float. But don't try this unless you know how to swim. Otherwise, you may be drowned. The same thing happens with Tao. You make a great effort to live in accordance with the truth, and by you understand that your great effort helps a little, but hinders a lot. To live in accordance is to let go. It is not to fight with nature. To live in accordance with nature is to be one with nature. There is no need to struggle. Effort is struggle. Effort means that you are trying to do something according to you. Science is effort. Tao is effortlessness. Science is violence to nature. That's why scientists continually talk in terms of conflict and conquering. It is a fight, as if nature is your enemy and you have to dominate it. Science has a deep political relationship with nature, a deep war and an enmity. Tao is not a fight at all. In fact, it is understanding that you are part of nature. How can the part fight with the whole? And if the part tries to fight with the whole and then becomes anxiety-ridden, what can you expect? It is natural. If the part tries to fight with the whole, if my hand tries to fight with my whole body, the hand will become ill. How can the hand fight with the body? The body supplies the blood. The body supplies the blood. The body supplies the nourishment. How can it fight with the body? The hand fighting with the body is foolish. Man fighting with nature is foolish. We can live only in accordance with nature. Tao is surrender. Science is war. Science strengthens the ego, and the whole problem is how to drop the ego. Through effort, it cannot be dropped. So remember this. When the highest type of people hear the Tao, they try hard to live in accordance with it. That is their first standpoint. Once they understand, they hear, they feel, they taste the affinity with it, and they start the hard effort to live accordingly. But as they grow in it, they begin to understand that effort is not needed, rather effortlessness. Finally, they drop effort and become one with nature. Somebody asked Lao Tzu, "How did you attain?" He said, quote, "I was sitting under a tree and I had done all that could be done, all that was humanly possible, and I was completely frustrated. Much had happened through it, but not all. Something was lacking, missing, and the missing link was the most difficult to find, elusive. Then while I was sitting under a tree, a dry leaf, fell from the tree slowly and moved in the wind. The wind was going north, the leaf moved north, then the wind changed course, started moving toward the south, and the leaf started moving toward the south. Then the wind stopped, and the leaf fell down on the earth, with not a single complaint, with no struggle, with no direction of its own. If the wind was going south, it was going south. If the wind was going north, it was going north. If the wind stopped, it fell down on the earth and rested beautifully. Then again there was some wind, and again it rose high in the sky, but there was no problem. Suddenly I understood. The message hit home. From that day I became a dry leaf, and the missing link that had been so elusive was elusive no more. The missing link was only this. You can attain many things through effort, but you cannot attain Tao through effort. Finally, you have to leave effort, and suddenly everything fits. You are in accordance. Then you don't give direction. Then you are no longer a director. You don't say to the winds, "Go south, because I am on a journey toward the south." You have no destination. The destiny of the whole is your destiny. You are not separate. You no longer think in terms of individuality. You have become part of the whole, and wherever the whole is going, you are going. If the whole changes its mind, you change your mind. If the whole stops the journey, it is beautiful. If the whole runs, you run with it. That is what in accordance means. With not a bit of mind of your own, when you have become a no mind, the whole lives through you, lives you, moves through you, moves you. Now you don't breathe, the whole breathes. Everything is a benediction, a blessing. How can you be tense then? Worried about what? All worries exist because you have brought an individual destiny into your mind against the destiny of the whole. You are moving upstream.